the street chasing wrong from right. Eyes like fire burning through the haze. Truth is a weapon, cuts through the maze. Some call her trouble, some call her brave. Digging up secrets they tried to save. A real deal around town. She's breaking it down, spinning the wheel, exposing the sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her cry. Shadows, they curse her name. Afraid of the spotlight she brings to the game. But the grateful ones, they cheer in the dark for the spark she ignites in their weary hearts. Some call her danger, some call her hope. She's the thin line on the tightrope. The sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her crown, yeah. The sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her crown, yeah. The truth's her crown, yeah.
Okay, everybody, let me see if I can get coordinated here. Okay, I'm back. I'm trying to type something in the chat. Let's see if I can get that up there. Did it go? There it went. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a full house here in the chat. This is nice. I don't usually get that. Wow, I guess because I didn't realize that it did a schedule, and everybody's been sitting like, where are you? I'm getting messages on my phone. Where are you? I didn't know it went up on a schedule. Oh gosh, I'm just started really doing live, so this is I still got to learn some of the technology, I think, because it's a little bit different than doing recorded stuff, even doing premieres. Jeez. Okay, so I'm here, and I'm doing it one of probably many transparency rants about the town of Townsend, the town behind me. The transparency has been my whole mission for a year and a half since I started my YouTube channel. But lately, it just seems to be getting worse. And I don't think it's because I'm more sensitive to it. I think that they're trying to tighten the ship over there. And there's between all the lawsuits and open meeting law complaints and a million public records requests coming in, and not all from me either, that they're just trying to tighten the ship so nobody can get anything anymore. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about, geez, every time I try to get on video, my throat goes up. Okay. I'm perfectly healthy. I don't know. Maybe it's still allergies that haven't gone away yet. So, yeah, a lot of what I'm going to talk about is open meeting law complaints. I've got a couple pending that I've submitted And I hear there's even more other people have submitted some too, but I'm sticking to mine. And I'm going to talk about those, and I'm going to bring up the documents. I'm going to bring up an email response that I got from the chair of the Board of Selectmen. And I'm going to bring up some videos of really, I mean, it's Pick on Lori Day. The videos of the chair of the Board of Selectmen talking about how transparent she is, and she doesn't understand why people are saying that we're not transparent. So there should be a little bit of humor here, but it's pretty, this lack of transparency isn't funny. And I think the Attorney General is getting tired of hearing about it, but it's, and so's the Secretary of the Commonwealth in the Public Records Division. So let's see, I got to take down the video, my intro. I got to remove that. See if I can pull up. I'm going to try to pull up, share screen. I'm going to try to pull up the open meeting law complaints. Oh, binder. I think binder. Is it here? Oops, wrong place. Window. Let's see if I can find it. Bear with me. Bear with me. It's coming. Okay. Let me try that again. I got to double check. I probably didn't save it properly. Probably not. Open with preview. It's the only way I can make this thing work. There it is. All right. Okay. Try this again. Bear with me. This is easier than it looks. Oh, some people, they do their videos and they're like on top of it. And I just sometimes have to search. Things are not where they should be ever. There it is. Okay, share. There we are. Okay, this is an open meeting law complaint. I cut off the top half because it's got my private information, my name and address and phone number, and I don't want to share that with the whole internet. So I started the form off here. But this is the second half of the intro page, where it just says, I'm filing as an individual against the Townsend Board of Selectmen, and it's the alleged violation is on 9/25/2025. Now, this is, it's an administrative complaint here. I'm not, a lot of people would say, well, this is pretty lame, Cindy. Well, no, it's not. In fact, the selectmen think it's pretty lame. But I'm going to show you this. I'm going to try to pull it up slowly here. This is where you write what's wrong. And I said the select board meeting agenda on September 25th, 2025 lists on item 4.1, approve and sign out of a meeting all 2026 renewals for common vic licenses, contingent upon receipt of required documentation and payment. My reason for filing is the notice lacked sufficient specificity because it failed to list the specific businesses seeking renewal of licenses. And this is what the law wants. The notice failed to meet the requirement of sufficient specificity to reasonably advise the public of the issues to be discussed at the meeting, and that's in accordance with 940 CMR 29.03. I think that's an LB. I'm not sure. I don't remember what it was. And then I listed past determinations. Those are the numbers for the past open meeting law determinations against other communities who did the exact same thing. Failed to list the businesses who they were doing whatever, all kinds of renewals, not just common vics. They could be liquor licenses. They could be all kinds of business licenses. The board is supposed to list all the businesses so that the general public can tell whether we'll know if what's being why did Chaz leave it? Oh, Jesus Christ. That's funny. All right, sorry, I'm looked at the chat. My bad. Grapefruit, take care of my light work. Oh my God. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow, please info comments. Yeah. Okay. So they have to list the names of the businesses whenever they're renewing anything or talking about people. They're supposed to list who they're talking about. And the general public has the right to know who the businesses are that are getting licensed or are having renewals. So let's say me or anybody, it doesn't have to be me, but anybody's looking at the select board agenda and they notice something like this. But if they had the list of all the businesses that need their license renewed, then there might be somebody out in the public would go, you know what? They shouldn't get their license renewed. This business is just giving bad food, or they're stealing. They sell, this convenience store is selling packaged cupcakes that expired 3 years ago, and these people shouldn't have a license. I know I never complain, but I want to complain now. So the public has a right to do that, and if they see who's getting their license renewed, they'll know that, hey, wait a minute, there's a problem with this business, and the public has a right to express that. Now, at a select board meeting, the select board doesn't have to let you speak at the select board meeting, but the agenda is posted 48 hours in advance. So it gives the public those 48 hours to do something, to send in a letter, an email, make a phone call, or show up at the meeting. It's easier, it's better to do things beforehand because the select board does not have to allow anybody to speak. Our town specifically does not have a public comment period, and any select board anywhere doesn't have to allow anybody to interject in the middle of a meeting. You should be doing that beforehand. You can contact the office, or you can contact individual select board members if you have their contact information, and all that kind of stuff. But that's the transparency that's in the open meeting law, that agendas must include the specificity. And I listed the CMR, which is the go-to. You have the open meeting law itself, and then you have the CMR, which tells you the how-to. I call it an instruction manual. But it's also a law. It's a Commonwealth of Massachusetts regulation. So it's as legitimate as any other law. And the previous determinations are give everybody an idea of what the standard is. How has the Attorney General ruled before? So it's basically, it's administrative, but it functions the same way as you might hear of case law. This isn't in a court, so it's not, it's not called case law, but it has the same idea. So let me see if I can, nope, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to turn that off for a second. I'm going to go back to the form. Oh, I wanted to read one more part of that, so let me pull it back up. There it is. Okay, if you look in the middle there, this is where I get to tell the board what I want them to do. And I requested that the board properly repost and revote the item in question at the next open meeting of the board, and to comply with the law in the future. I think that was very nice of me. I did not yell at them. I did not swear. I didn't make a big deal out of this. And it's their opportunity to do it right. And I'd be satisfied. And I'll explain how open meeting law complaints work in a moment. But this, they can do it. They can fix this on their next open meeting, which currently they had another one. Well, I just filed this on 10/22. So after the last meeting is when I filed this. And I did that deliberately because they would not have time to deal with this. And I wasn't going to try to shove it up their butt. I wanted to give them the time to handle this. And they have 15 days to do something, or to at least respond to me. So the next meeting, which was within the response period, is November 5th. They have another one, but they've already posted it with an executive session and let them have fun with. They're dealing with the lawsuit. So let them have their time. But this one, the next meeting is actually going to be November 5th. It's not posted yet, but this gives them an opportunity to get the open meeting law complaints on, I have two, on the agenda. And where they're seeing this, they can preferably do this all in the same meeting, but repost the common vic licenses, all of them, like they're supposed to properly. And they can renew all the licenses. They just vote it all over again. But they list all the licenses, and that's all they have to do. And this would meet the criteria that I set. And they will be in compliance. That will be okay. And then what happens is it's up to the complainant, me, on whether or not their actions would satisfy the complaint, me. And if they did that, that would be fine. And I think the Attorney General would even agree that they reposted it, which is proper, and everything would be fine. And the requirements for an open meeting law complaint is the board is supposed to, they have to discuss this at a meeting and then determine what their response is going to be. And if they want to contest something, they've been just sending it over to their attorney. And I told Lori, the chair of the board, when I emailed these to her, I said, you don't need to, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see a reason why you need to call an attorney for this, but far be it for me to tell you don't need a lawyer. But if you just do this, I will not do the next step. Their next step is to meet, do the response, send it off to me, and then also they have to send a copy of their response to the Attorney General. No matter what, they send that off to the Attorney General. So then I have 30 days after that to decide whether or not they've made me happy, that they've complied with my demands. They fixed it. They've accepted, I accept their response. So when they send a response, they should tell me what they're going to do, or that they've done it. They're going to do that. And it's like, okay, so I got 30 days to follow, make sure. So, which was all fine with, November 5th, we get into November 22nd, thereabouts, probably the 21st or so. Somewhere in there, I would say, okay, did they or did they not fix this? If they did, it's dead in the water. I do nothing. I don't forward anything. I would not forward anything to the Attorney General. If I'm not satisfied with their response, and if they decide to blow me off and contest my complaint, then I would send all the whole package up to the Attorney General and let them make a determination that the town of Townsend violated the open meeting law yet again. I've lost track of how many complaints have been determined to be in violation this year. It's really, I'm getting tired of writing these, but that's how it goes. All right, and then I sign at the bottom. Yeah, this, then, yeah, here's the agenda. I forgot it's here. I got this all set to go in. Oh, so I got everything attached. So these are all the appointments. 4.1, here's 4.1. Approve and sign outside of a meeting. This is wrong. They need to list the things, just like they did on 4.2. Review and approve the name change of this organization, Bullion Bistro, and reflected in the common vic license renewal documents. Hello, they didn't want to list. There aren't that many common vic licenses in town. We're not that big, so it's not a pain in the neck. Okay, it's just they didn't want to type it. So I'm going to take this, make this disappear for a moment, because I just got to scoop down to the next one, because I don't want you to see my address and phone number. So we're going to get past that again. Okay. Now, where am I? Let me check the chat. Okay, nobody said anything. Why did Chaz I'm gonna address this Chaz thing. If Candy Dandy is still in here, I can't tell if Candy Dandy is still in here. If Candy Dandy is still here, Chaz resigned because of total profound embarrassment, which he should, and shame. And he wasn't going to quit until channel NBC 10 did a story on their news channel about him. He was never charged with a crime that I'm aware of. So he lost his job and lost his license to practice as a licensed drug and alcohol counselor because he was sexually inappropriate with his co-workers, the people that work for him, as well as the residents in a substance abuse treatment facility that he was taking care of people. And he used threats, and according to the investigation, you have to go back and watch my video back. I think it was the end of August of 2024, and you see the whole story. But he was not charged with a crime. This was just total embarrassment, and pretty much, yeah. He wasn't going to resign just because I said so. He resigned when NBC 10 came into town. And again, for the record, I did not call them. Didn't do it. Somebody else did, and they called me. And that's the truth. I can prove it, I think. I have texts from them still. I save a lot of things on my phone. So anyway, let's bring this back up. Okay, we're going to start this again. So then I did a second open meeting law complaint. And this was, I did them both on the same day. They were within 30 days of me making the complaint. So I did them together. I was almost letting the first one go, but then they did it again at another meeting. So I said, I'm going to file these. Because I was like, they really don't know and they don't care. And Lori was already running around complaining and claiming to be transparent. So I said, I'm not taking this sitting down. I'm going to do these officially. I was thinking about just sending them a note, but no, you're getting it. I'll do the form. And if you just do what I tell you, everything will not be a determination by the Attorney General anyway. So just chill out. This is the proper way to do it. So I'm doing it. So this is for October 21st. This was the one that I just did the long video. It still hasn't come up on TCAM yet, but I did the video on it yesterday. So on October 22nd, they did it twice on 4.1 and 4.2. This time, approve and sign out of session all 2026 renewals for entertainment licenses contingent upon receipt of all required documentation and payment. And then approve and sign all 2026 renewals for class 1, 2, and 3 licenses contingent upon receipt of required documentation and payment. These are like junkyards, holding places, I think like Harbor Auto Body, the auto body places. And I know MJS Metals is different. I think this is really just vehicles. If you're doing vehicle repair or you're running a junkyard, they have different criteria. I'm not going to get into those because it's over my head. If I had to approve these, I'd probably want to know. But right now, it's not that important. But the same exact thing, they did not list the businesses that are included in this. And I gave the exact same request that they properly repost and revote the items in question at their next meeting, which will still be November 5th. So just take you to the agenda again. And this is 4.1 and 2. There you have it. No businesses listed. But they did have other businesses throughout the other things going on, but not the licenses, which it's critically important for transparency as required by law that the businesses get listed on the agenda. Okay? So here we are. I think I'm going to remove this. Remove, take that, stop that screen. I'm going to get that out of here. Let's see if I can get the right, here I am, I'm back, sorry. Got to push the right button to get the right thing going. Now, I'm going to try, what am I going to pull up next? I'm gonna pull up a video. Do I want to? Yes, I'm gonna. This will yeah. This is from the VBCC meeting. Volunteer board, and I forgot what CC means. Completely forgot. That's the intro. Volunteer board. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Video file. How's that? Okay, nothing's happening. Good. I'm glad nothing's happening.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, no.
My name is Laura.
Stop for a minute. I'm going to bring this to about the 50. You don't need to. This is boring stuff. 53. That's close enough. This is they're putting packets together and telling people what, telling volunteer boards how they're supposed to conduct themselves. Unfortunately, this is Lori Schifrin and this is Harrison Mayotte, our town clerk. But Lori Schifrin is the chair of the select board, but she's also the chair of the VBCC. So she's having her. I think this whole conversation is also a violation of the open meeting law because this conversation was not on the agenda anywhere. But she's having her own transparency rant, and the rant is against me. She's ranting against me. So let's see what she has to say.
Something about it being, although it wasn't intentional, it was too broad that you had.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah, it looks really
There's
great.
a lot, it's
Shouldn't go
better
to
for
waste.
us.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And who was this again? She is.
Our human resources
HR
person.
Tiger.
It was brought up in my violation.
Okay, I'm gonna.
The training as a,
I always ask her, she's here so late still. Why are you still here?
She
Yeah,
gets more done at night.
I got the lowdown.
Can't transition into open meeting law at the
Um,
moment.
okay, and that's.
But that's the one thing I've always found in my particular end of it. Training is critical.
Mhm.
No different than when somebody is coming onto a new board or a new chairman, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
You know,
On the meeting content part,
yeah,
it was brought up in my violation, but it wasn't really my violation, it was in the agenda. In that something about it being, although it wasn't intentional, it was too broad that you had to be more
specificity.
specific. Right,
yeah.
so that's
We can have
gotta
a-
somehow be a note for people, have to be very specific.
so ethics got you on specific.
Well, yeah, for example, I mean, this was in the meeting tonight, so I'll
Mhm,
say it. For example, we have town administrator report,
Mhm.
mhm.
reports, updates and reports.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We got an open meeting law violation because under his report, he had, the police officer was there about the canine issue.
Oh, yeah. I
And
remember.
so he brought that in, the town administrator brought that into the board for him just to give his explanation
okay.
of what he was doing. They're saying that because of how certain things get discussed under reports, which I'm not sure how this is gonna turn out, because for years, including the time when the person who reported it was on the board, it was the same.
This is where I get to prove that she's liar, liar, pants on fire. I spent today going through agendas going back to 2018. And for those that don't know, I was on the Board of Selectmen back then, and she's talking about me here. And she's saying that when I was on the board, we violated the open meeting law too. We did things the same way she did. And that is just not true. In fact, I think the last time I had the opportunity to do the common vic licenses was in November of 2018. And I need to tell you that the last time, I was going to check one other meeting, but I believe the last time that this was done correctly was in November of 2018. I was the last Board of Selectmen that did it right. And I got to check 2019. I didn't check 2019. I forgot. I was off the board. Somebody else was on. I think we still had the same admin staff. So 2019 could have been correct as well. I'll try to check it again, but I don't think I'll have time while I'm doing this video. I could, just to prove a point, but this is an absolute lie. I remember, complaining actually sometimes when I was on the board. We were like, oh my gosh, because we had, you had long lists of different types of licenses. We had our list, we went through the list and we approved each one individually. And we even signed the licenses in session. So our licenses were completely paid for already. The businesses had already met all the criteria for license renewal. We weren't just blanketly approving things that they hadn't applied for yet, or they hadn't sent in their documentation and had all the validation. We were signed, because we signed them in session. In order to get your license renewed, you had to have all your ducks in a row. And then we would sign them when they were ready to go. I mean, some people, we'd have more meetings if necessary on this topic as people, did something wrong. They didn't get things done, or they didn't get their check in, something happened. And we would, but I'm going to bring up the November of 2018's agenda and show you that we did it properly. She's lying here, that she's trying to say, but we've always done it this way. And of course, this is Townsend. We've always done it this way. So we want to continue to do it this way. And Cindy's just complaining. And she's complaining about something that she did wrong also. And this is absolute bullshit. And I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to let this run a little bit, because she talks for how many more minutes? I can't tell. It's not going to tell me. She talks a little bit more about this, but
just like we have the liaison reports, we have a gazillion ones that we do, but we're not going to report on all of them because maybe only 2 met in this last week or 2 weeks. Okay, so that's what I'll report on, or somebody else will have 1, or somebody else will have 2. Well, we don't know until the meeting what we're going to report on under liaison. So we're trying to find out, well, it's been like this since 2000 that we know of, okay? And why is it not, how are we supposed to change that now? To be more specific.
well, just because you were doing it since 2000 doesn't mean you can't make corrections and say, oh, we didn't know we were doing it wrong. Now that you brought it up, we need to follow the law. And the liaison reports are usually pretty minimal. They're just saying, I don't know. I think maybe some of the liaison reports do need to be more specific and not we're just reporting on everything. I think if there's things that they don't need to give liaison reports that are just generic. They can say that they visited these boards, but if there's something going on that needs to be reported, it probably should be on the agenda. I haven't complained about liaison reports, so I don't want to beat them up over them, but if there's anything that requires any conversation or discussion, it should be on the agenda. There's something happening, I know that some of the boards are dealing with incursion on properties, that people are deciding to extend their yard into conservation land. And these are things that are being discussed in conservation boards, But if they shouldn't just be reported in liaison reports without being on the agenda. And that's kind of when she was talking about a previous open meeting law complaint that I made against the board, because the town administrator, under his updates, he had actually invited the police chief to come in and give a presentation on they were getting some kind of search. Is it a search dog? Some kind of bloodhound? A bloodhound? I don't know. But he gave a presentation. This was nowhere on the agenda. And it was just, he just did it under updates. And in the same meeting, they had also added to the agenda on the day of the meeting to discuss my previous open meeting law complaints. That was also a violation because it was not, you need to list things on the agenda 48 hours in advance. The thing with the police chief coming in and giving a presentation, it's not the police chief's fault. I'm not complaining about him coming in. Him wanting to give a presentation is a great idea, but it should have been on the agenda. And if the idea to put it on the agenda or to have him come into a meeting, oh, gee, chief, we have to do it on the next meeting because it's not an emergency. It's not like we got dumped with this dog and now it's going to cost us money. What do? We need to get this approved, and we can't wait till your next meeting. That's not what was going on. It was well planned and all this stuff, and they should have just waited. So it's not like, oh, how can we do this? How can we do it legally? We've been doing it this way. And I'm glad she at least said 2000, because that's when Veronica Kell came onto the board. She came on sometime in 2019, I think. But, or maybe 2020. I was going through all the agendas. Now I remember. But it was pretty much when Veronica Kell came on the scene that the open meeting law went to shit, because things stopped showing up on the agenda. And that was in the middle of COVID. But in fact, COVID was a time period when more things needed to be on the agenda, not less. But she acts like, I don't understand why we got to do this now. Why all of a sudden? And I don't know how we can change it. You just need to follow the law. It's been told to you repeatedly. And I must remind the public that Lori Schifrin has been involved with one board or committee or another for 40 years. 40 years. This open meeting law stuff should not be new to her. She was the chair of the Housing Authority for decades. She's been on Properties Committee for, I don't know if it's decades, and she's been on the Board of Assessors for many years. She was the chair of the Planning Board for quite some time. And so this should not be, oh, I don't understand. Why all of a sudden? Oh, it's all of a sudden that you guys are breaking the law. That's what's all of a sudden, not the law. You decided to violate the law. Since you guys got on the board, it's really been bad. The previous board, when it was Chaz and Joe and whatever, and mostly Veronica, they didn't give Teresa the time of day, so she was hit on a violation that I did a while ago, but Chaz and Joe were just so intimidating. I don't know, but they were violating here and there. But I think this is a lot of ignorance. But the only way to get these people to follow the law maybe is to file an open meeting law complaint. But I've been filing them for these guys, really starting for the Board of Selectmen. It really started, I think, in January of this year, and I've done half a dozen anyway, at least. And it's and a lot of it's the same shit, different day. And, they get one thing done and then they just do the same thing again. I don't know. I know they can read, I think. Oh, okay.
That's a great question. I think there are ways to do it. A lot of other boards have different strategies to it. And I think the typical strategy that I hear about is simply, if it's not an emergency, it just waits. I know that's not ideal for most things,
I think
or
that
if it's not
Bethany
time sensitive, but.
does a really good job in the fact that she gives a written report
Mhm.
to the planning board
Mhm.
at each meeting.
Yeah.
And then she can either give it orally, or
The chairman can
the
read it.
chairman can read it, or the clerk can read it,
Into
you know,
the meeting.
but it's only updates. It's not, they're never discussion items,
Mhm.
you know, kind of thing, where hers anyway.
So in other words, when you were running the meeting, you should have specifically stated that we're opening the meeting to A, B, and C. Specifically, you did not verbalize it.
It's verbalized, but it's not on the agenda. And it has
So
to be
you
on
couldn't
the,
go down and say, we're gonna add 1.6 to the agenda. Cause that's usually what we would
if it's an
do.
emergency, you can add something to the
Correct.
agenda. You
Yeah.
can always delete something
Right, yeah.
in the
it's like
agenda,
taking-
like I did tonight as well.
Yeah.
What we'll do in the initial of
Or
a
move to the
meeting.
next agenda.
Okay, so for 1.6, we're deleting that, but we're gonna go back down to 1.5, add to the meeting. A discussion on why this wasn't,
You
You
can't
both
add
the
to your
sheet.
meeting. You cannot add to your meeting unless it is an emergency and under the chairman's additions and deletions. If
that's what I'm
you,
referring to.
if I had an emergency that came up, or Sabrina told me I had an emergency that came up.
Yeah.
And I would say, if it pleases the board, so the board is voting and in agreement with the addition of a certain situation.
And if I may paraphrase the Attorney General, the standing item of chairman's additions and deletions doesn't allow the board simply to add. It still has to meet the unforeseen 48 hours in advance standard.
Okay, so in other words, it was lack of posting at the same time, that was.
Yeah, so the whole purpose of the open meeting law is notice to the public.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
And so if it's something that was unforeseen and can't wait, and the "and can't wait" part isn't written into the law, but if it could have waited, you run the risk of open meeting law complaints. Whether they
Okay.
would get found to be violations, or it's simply just, this wasn't a violation, but, be careful type of warning.
Yeah, yeah.
There've been a mix of those, and so it could be any of that sort of thing.
It's all a
Just gotta
learning
be careful.
experience.
So, yeah,
Right.
and we understand that, so it was not deliberate, it was misunderstood verbiage.
Well, the open
By
meeting law,
somebody.
the legal text, I mean, it is dense, and
Mhm.
it's a lot, so.
So my other question is, when these OMLs come forward and you get called out on them, is it consistent to a specific individual that helps us in these regards? Most of the time?
I'm not sure what your question is.
My question is there a particular person that keeps bringing these OMLs?
Yeah, what's sad about any of them, no matter who does what, okay? Is
All of it.
it's time consuming on the volunteers' part as well as attorney counsel fees. Because we don't do it, the answering of it, it takes up Sabrina's time, it takes up Nelson's time, yet we don't have money to pay our employees. Yet, all this is wasted money, what good does it do?
This is where I really start to lose my friggin' mind, because she's saying we don't have time to do these, to respond to open meeting law complaints. We don't have the money to pay the employees. Employees have to do staff time. The Board of Selectmen has to do their own time. And then they choose to go turn it over. In many cases, I think it's a good idea, but they turn it over to legal counsel to respond to the open meeting law complaints. And she's now saying that all of this is a waste of time and it's a waste of money. So what that actually translates to, very plainly, is transparency is a waste of time and it's a waste of money, and we shouldn't be required to do it. The reason that if it weren't for the open meeting law, nobody would need to have meetings. They would not need to be open to the public. They would not need to post agendas at all. And they can continue to do everything in secrecy. And I know that these people would like to do it that way. but we can't tolerate that. The open meeting law complaints that I file are to increase transparency, to bring attention to the fact that there's a transparency problem here. And I don't do open meeting law complaints to harass anybody. I do the open meeting law complaints to make it a formal process so that they will understand and have to deal with it. And they need to understand that they're violating the open meeting law over and over and over again. And they're going to have to like read it or something. They've taken multiple trainings. They even had a whole town-wide training in September in person. And everybody from the select board's office, the full-time staff went. Supposedly, I didn't go, so I don't know who actually went. They said they went. I don't know if the whole select board went or not, but come on. But they still, oh no, this doesn't apply to us because we're Townsend, we're a small town, we shouldn't have to do this. And these open meeting, Lori's complaining that my complaints, and she was a little hesitant. She was trying to avoid, Joe was trying to get her to say that it was me, but it was me. And he knows it's me. He knows it's me. Everybody knows it's me because they watch my videos and stuff. And yes, grapefruit, just how they view public records request. What else did you say? It takes up Sabrina's time. It takes up Nelson's time. All this is wasted money. What good does it do? Yeah, just follow the law the first time. If your paid staff can't follow the law, then fire them. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, you've got to, it's not, I'm wasting everybody's time. I'm not wasting everybody's money. The board's responsible for following the law. And you can't, Lori's famous for this, blaming somebody. Oh, Veronica Kell does it too. Blaming somebody else for things that they're responsible for. Oh, they're dependent on our staff. If our staff don't tell us, we don't know. No, that it's your job to know the buck stops with you because you're elected and you're responsible, particularly as the chair. The chair has a lot of responsibility, and this is right there where you can't blame staff. In fact, in our determinations, we haven't run into that where the board has blamed their staff in a response to an open meeting law complaint. I have read open meeting law responses by other communities who have blamed their staff. It wasn't me, it was the clerk who didn't do the agenda right, or the minutes weren't done on time because we were changing clerical staff. That doesn't cut it. The AG says it's not your staff's problem, it's the board's problem. You're responsible for following the open meeting law, not your staff. And they're there to help you follow the procedures that you're supposed to be following. Helps is in whatever. Okay. It just drives me crazy. All right, let's see what else she has to say. Look at her. She's got my little hands up here. What do I want to do? I don't know. It's out of my hands. It's not my fault. It's Cindy's fault because she keeps filing these complaints and taking up everybody's time. I'm doing a good deed. I'm trying to that's the whole reason I have this YouTube channel, in order to improve and increase the transparency in this town, and so that townspeople can see and I can do my commentary here to explain what's going on and what is really being said here.
Okay, I don't understand. People volunteer, so hopefully you can get something done and be progressive for the town. Okay, it's not to criticize everybody who's trying to help that's not paid. Okay, we're trying to get something like here. We're trying to get something done that's going to help the people.
And you know what? I'm a volunteer too. I'm a volunteer right here on this YouTube channel doing this public service. I'm not getting paid, despite what rumors have that I'm getting YouTube money, which I'm not. I am here providing a service to the townspeople by sharing this information. So I'm a volunteer too, and it is my volunteer job. I'm self-employed volunteer. It is my job to enforce transparency in this town. And they seem to think it's their job to put an end to transparency.
In the town. When, you know, when I read that stuff that I get, I'm like, I don't even want to tell volunteers about this because
And scare them away.
why would anybody fill out a
Why
form?
would you?
I don't even want to tell volunteers about this. I don't want to tell volunteers about the open meeting law. I don't want to tell volunteers about what can happen if you violate the open meeting law. This is, again, more transparency problem. I don't want to tell people who need to know things what is going on around here. More things that she wants to keep secret.
Sign up for that dance, yeah.
Or if you're always gonna be
I've
criticized.
personally seen some of what these open meeting law violations are. I've seen how just kind of semantic as to how slight in verbiage, and they can bring them forward. It's their right to do such,
I mean, if
but we're volunteers.
Put
Utilize
into-
it. All of it, the
Something good.
whole thing, all of it is just a waste of a
Yeah.
lot of resource.
I think part of what I've heard on that front is, you know, if particular boards, oh, is that my copy or? No, that's your copy.
No,
I have mine.
Her notes are gonna help you be able to streamline it too.
The thing I've heard is that the boards that have the professional staff that. The whole purpose of the open meeting law is for public notice, public transparency. And so I think that's the reason
I
why.
agree with that.
And yeah, and I think some of it is nitpicky, but I think some of them, you know, may have, you know,
Never to them.
yeah.
Okay.
But I think, speaking of the open meeting law, we might be wandering.
Yeah, and Harrison's taking us out of violation territory because I think they did wander a lot. But forgot what I was going to say now. I got distracted. I wanted to say that Lori is very vocal about saying that, you know, we're all volunteers, we're a small town, blah, blah, blah. But there are only 351 cities and towns in the whole Commonwealth of Massachusetts. 149 of them, or it's either 149 or 169. I got it off of the MMA, Mass Municipal Association, has all this data about towns and their sizes. And either 149 or 169 are similar to us, all volunteers and in the same population window as us, in functioning the same type of government setup. We're a town, we have town meeting, we got volunteer boards, etc., and so on. And all the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts apply to all of us, including the open meeting law and the public records law. So this is just, you can't hide behind where there's some unique law that we should be passed to protect us from Cindy's bullshit. No, there are laws that protect the public, the citizens of Townsend, from the government's bullshit. And it is true that if you're sitting on a board, if you're in town, I mean, particularly the Board of Selectmen is particularly vulnerable and sitting ducks for criticism. To start with, they cover everything. They're responsible for everything. The buck has to stop there. And everybody watches, not everybody, but a lot of people are watching what the board does, and what they do influences everybody. And so they're just going to be criticized. And it's like any other position in politics. And these are political positions. They're elected. Even Harrison, he's elected as a town clerk. People can rat on him. And I mean, the only people I see ragging on him are the Board of Selectmen. But we've been pretty lucky with town clerks the last couple decades here. They've been pretty competent about doing their work. So, it just, she just doesn't want to, she just wants to, we just want to get things done. We don't want to tell it. We don't want anybody to rock the boat. And Cindy's rocking the boat. Let's see. I don't think there's any more.
Yeah.
Yes.
I understand.
But we were on the agenda minutes standard template form. And,
Yeah.
and I think the
Okay. I'm gonna get these guys out of here. I'm done with that one. Now I'm gonna make an attempt to bring up. Wait a minute. I don't have it ready. Give me a minute. I'm gonna bring up. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna open this in preview. And okay. Lost my place. That's in preview. Share screen again. Yeah. I'm gonna find it. November 20th. Here we go. I promised you this is the agenda from November 20th, 2018. Revised agenda, it says that just means they changed it before the meeting, not we changed it now. This is on the Townsend website. Anybody can look it up if you want to. On November 20th, 2018 at 6 p.m., you can see on the top, Sue Licio was the chair of the board, Cindy King, me, was vice chair, and Wayne Miller was the clerk. And you can look at the agenda. We got all these appointments. Everybody was getting into different jobs. We were appointing all kinds of people. And just gonna do all these crazy things. Oh, we got down to 3.3. What do you know? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's go to 3.1. 3.1. Review and sign the 2019 renewal for an all alcoholic restaurant liquor license for Mike, somebody at Gourmet House, doing business as Panda Walk, contingent upon valid certificate of inspection. Review sign the 2019 renewal for a wine and malt liquor license for Patriot Pizza. And they serve alcohol. I forgot that. I don't know if I think I've been in there once. So then we have review and approve sign the 2019 Common Vic renewal license. We say Common Vic because it's easier to say than the whole word. Victualler. It's easier to say Common Vic. Renewal license applications for Panda Walk, Cliff's Cafe, Patriot Pizza, Energy North, doing business as Hafner's, that's the gas station, and Townsend Pizza, which is no longer there. They closed. But see, that's how you're supposed to do it. This is me. She said that she was complaining that when I was on the board, we did it the same way against the law. Nope, we did not. Oh, and here's another one. Review and approve 2019 Common Vic renewal application for McNabb's Pharmacy. Review and sign a Class 3 license application for Carl Cirillo, MJS Metals. Okay, somehow I thought we did something. Anyways, review and approve a 2019 Class 2 license for Williams Barrow. Review and sign a 2019 renewal Class 2 license for Joe Shank of Harbor Auto Body. Review and sign a one-day special. Oh, this is special one-day licenses. Okay, all of these, that is what you're supposed to do. All of them. We did it properly. So, eat shit. Don't accuse me of breaking the law when you were breaking the law. I'm going to admit from time to time, people do unintentionally violate the open meeting law. And when I was on the board, there was, I don't know I think it was only one. I'm not sure. There were a number of, Veronica Kell was throwing open meeting law complaints at us. Yes, she was. When I was on the board, that was fun back then. She sent a couple in. Most of them were BS. And I'll tell you, I'll confess, I'll admit it. I'm not confessing. It's public record. There was one that I think it was only one. I'd have to go back and look, where we got our minutes out late. And I have to say, at the time, some of the problem also was Jim didn't tell us that there was a complaint. He didn't, we never knew that there had even been an open meeting law complaint, because actually the complainant is supposed to notify the chair of the board. I wasn't the chair. I think at that time, Carolyn might have been the chair. But I don't think the complainant didn't, you're supposed to send it to the chair of the board, not to the TA. You're supposed to send it to the chair of the board. And I don't think that, I don't know if it was Veronica on that one or someone else, or 3 or 4 people that were firing stuff at us. So I don't remember who it was. One of the usual suspects. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. But we did get hit. We did violate the open meeting law because we didn't get our, not the agenda, it was the meeting minutes. We didn't get our meeting minutes finished and published in time. And that's a common problem statewide. People screw that up all the time. But it is a violation. I admit it. We did it. We didn't even realize we did it. And we were as guilty as a lot of boards, letting the professional staff handle everything and not paying it the least bit of attention, just assuming everything was going fine. And I learned that day, well, we can't do that. We need to pay attention. It's our job. And the AG said that. It's our job. It's not the clerk's job. And I think that was our excuse, although we didn't defend or try to say, oh, it's our fault. No, it's our fault. But we did say that that's what happened. We left it to the clerk. Sorry. And I think we confessed our sins and moved on. But thankfully, there weren't any more. If you get more than one, if you get another one for the same exact thing, it's a fine. They fine you. So that's another important reason why the Board of Selectmen needs to start paying attention, because they're running out of unique complaints. I just did these 2. They were together and they'll be submitted together. The Attorney General is not going to fine them for one of them. They have to be separated enough so that you get notified that you violated the open meeting law before they hold you accountable to 2 complaints. So, or 2 violations, I should say. So it's really upsetting for me to see that she said that, oh no, Cindy's just as guilty as anybody. She didn't do this right either, and it's just not right that she's complaining about us. Wrong. Now I've got another one. What else did I want to talk to you about? I'm going to go back to the select board meeting, and I'm going to, that we just did, but I'm going to bring up just one little section of it. We're not doing 5.5 hours again. That was brutal, huh? But thank you everybody for hanging in there and watching the 5 hours of video. I had quite a few people that did that. So I'm just going to bring up the part where Lori talked about the same thing that she always does. Not my fault. It's how transparent she is. And she says this, I didn't go through other meetings. I could bring this up repeatedly because she says this all the time. But give me a minute. Give me a moment. Let's see. Okay, that's gone. Now I got to pull up video file. Get the right one. Where is it? Oh yeah, I'm going to pull up the original. I think. Do I want I want the original.
My name is Laura Schifrin.
Okay, I'm going to go to 2 hours and 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'll come up to 229:44 and we'll get to it. We're going to really get to it.
That's within the purview of the select board.
Because we just don't want to get, if we put information out there that it's had, you know, an employee, a townsperson, anything that was considered defamatory, we don't want to do that.
No.
So that was just my one concern. It was nothing to do with the project
I
itself,
understand.
actually.
Thank you. Was there another question? I'm sorry.
I don't think we should be picking and choosing which ones are private. They just should all be private, because then you have an issue of why was
Well,
that
this
one
is
not
a public
disclosed
record
and mine's
conversation. It should
publicized.
all be
and
private. No, it
I think
shouldn't.
they just all need to be private. Also, I have to put my HR hat on for a second. This portal is something that you found somewhere or you're developing yourself?
It was entirely created in-house.
So that would be, an appeal was rejected, that is not listed.
Opening
this-
up to liabilities. That's the only concern I have. It's nothing, like, I would be fine even with the portal being accessible for entry. Whenever we get information
I
from
wanna
Guardian.
get that information
accessible
from
for entry
Guardian
now,
to
whether
know
it's
it
on,
is,
whether
but
it's on this official looking document.
response from Guardian, I would like the opportunity.
They will be public, just on a different.
Nelson.
So,
All right. Somehow I know what I did.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, you can't,
I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to where I started here.
Why was that one not disclosed and mine's publicized, you know? I think they just all need to be private. Also,
I was thinking I had something else, but this segment is talking about the public records portal. Part of it, I mean, I'm only cutting out part of it because the conversation was just, oh my gosh. But this is really getting to the gist of, if you listen to it from the viewpoint that you're seeking transparency, and this is what they're saying about, they don't want transparency, they want records to be hidden, or basically want them private. And oh yes, I know what this does. Okay, now I remember. Oh gosh, I'm okay. I got all these videos going on. Okay, just bear with me on this and enjoy this.
I have to put my HR hat on for a second. This portal is something that you found somewhere or you're developing yourself?
It was entirely created in-house,
So that would be intellectual property of the
the
town?
town, sure.
Okay, so make sure we understand that.
I really think it should all be private until we understand what's going on here.
I agree with that.
I don't wanna. I mean, I don't even know what most of these are. I can't say that they came to my email for me to look at them or even answer them.
It's probably true that most of them in fact did not, because many did not involve you personally, and
Okay.
there were a large number that did, and those we've had prior discussions about, but
Am
many
I up
of
to
them.
date or am I in violation here somewhere?
Well, I
Cause
wouldn't
I
say
have
that,
no idea
I
from what
wouldn't-
you sent.
I wouldn't say that you're in violation. I think there were a couple outstanding that we can talk about. I know many, had to do with general select board and town administrator records. I haven't been sending those to all three of you personally, as
Okay,
they relate to records within the custody of your full-time staff.
okay, got it.
which we
I appreciate that answer, but I really would like it to be private until we can actually have a full-blown conversation about the way to go. But I agree with Val, I think it's a great system for you
Mhm.
and to keep track of, but it does not have to be on a public site.
I understand, and that could
It's
be,
embarrassing, actually. And I don't even know who this is, but this is embarrassing, I think, for the town.
I think
And
the
we're
public
10
value
years
is
later
many
now,
of those.
okay, from
But we
15 and
used to put
16.
them on the website, all the public records.
This is another reason that Lori wants things to not be transparent. They're embarrassing. They're talking about the policy that has been on and off, the policy of the town clerk for more than a decade. And Kathy, the woman in the middle here, is our previous town clerk, and Harrison, our current town clerk. And Harrison developed a portal so that, and since he got elected in April, he's been putting all the public records, he's been trying, it's been overwhelming, to get all the public records requests and responses onto the website so that people can see them. And it's been, as far as on the public side, it's a lot of people are very happy about that. And there hadn't been a complaint yet from the Board of Selectmen that I knew of, but now Harrison just created, he's a computer guy, he knows how to do these right programs and things, and he created this portal to make his job easier and make it easier to track, but it also makes continues to make things accessible for townspeople to get the records, can see what's going on. And what the, so what Lori is trying to do is say, it's embarrassing. The records are embarrassing. She's embarrassed by the records that are up on the portal, that are public records. Almost all the public records requests that I've been seeing coming through are things that should be on the website somewhere. Anyway, our website has been decimated. A decade ago, there was 10 times more on the website than is what's on there now. It's horrifying. Like, you want to find something, there's no point. Don't even go looking, because the only thing that's there is the calendar, which isn't even right half the time. And some news, which is only a partial list of news. And then some of the boards have pages. You can't get a hold of anybody. They won't let you know how to get a hold of any board members from any of the boards. Oh no, that's private. No, it's not. We need, all the kinds of things. People have public records requests in that are, the reason people make public records requests are because things that should be on the website aren't there. There should be much more transparency. They fight tooth and nail over releasing any public records. Lori just said that it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. What she's embarrassed by are the public records requests that seem to be really strange, some of them, and they do name calling and all these other things. And I mean, I don't know why, but people want to do that. But these are public records. Public records requests are public records. And it doesn't reflect on the town if somebody is making a crazy request that is just, what does this even say? It's if the response is embarrassing, that's just too bad, because it's a public record and everybody has the right to do them. And like I said in my previous video, that if this is going to be a problem where public records requests are going to be censored, I'm going to be doing public records requests every 30 days for all public records requests and the responses and the appeals and the responses and the appeals. And I am not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not just venting. I'm serious. And if the public records requests are not going to be seen by me anyway, and anything that's exciting, I might do a video on these embarrassing public records requests that Lori's so upset about, because this is the public. This is what transparency is defined by. Censorship is what she's defining. Oh, it's embarrassing. I don't want the public to see these. Tough. You're living. We still have a constitution right now, and we have the right to see these things. So let her continue talking.
I think it was up through 2018, and that it was
And then it stopped.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about the details of it.
There would be a case where
Is
some
it a
would be,
mandate?
some wouldn't, there was no
No, it's that it was
policy.
to put it out there so that people wanted the same information.
And we have
It is-
a large swath of the town that is concerned about transparency. While certain requests,
That's
again, may
one
not
statement.
have value in being disseminated in that way, and then may be a legal liability to the town, there are, generally speaking, may be a value in that transparency of even, perhaps it's just the request content that's the part
Okay.
that may not be shown, and simply the request, the list of these people put in requests could be part of it. So
But there is a difference now in that we've been through COVID. And ever since COVID, we've had all the meetings online, and they're gonna stay online.
Now, this is stupid. What she's about to say makes no sense.
So that people, if they're really interested this is what I didn't understand about not being transparent, because everything has been on YouTube for all of our meetings, and I've been in enough of them to know that if people were really interested in a certain topic, it was there for them to see.
yeah, I can't speak to.
Which that makes no sense. So people are asking for the minutes from your meeting from last July. It's not on a YouTube channel anywhere. It's not. If I want a payroll document, I want to do a payroll run, which I have an appeal right now. I asked for a payroll register. I asked for it, I think, at the end of August. It's an appeal. I'll get it. And it's the reason it's costing the town time and money is because you're spending more time trying to keep me from getting it, which there's no legal reason to stop me. You're spending more time fighting me than if you just took the 10 seconds it would take to run the report. That's one. That's not on a YouTube channel anywhere. If that's being just displayed on YouTube channels all the time, let me know where to go find it. If I want to find an appointment letter on the employees, I want to see who's taken the ethics training. I want a copy of the lawsuit that was filed. I haven't seen any of these documents on a YouTube channel, or if I attended a meeting in person, I'm not going to be given these documents just because I'm going to the meeting. She's saying that transparency, we're transparent. All you have to do is go to the meetings and you'll know everything you need to know. And that's where the key problem here is. She wants everything. You don't need to know any more than what we talk about at meetings. If we don't talk about it at a meeting, it's not something you need to know. And that's where the problem comes in a democracy. We have the right under the public records law and the open meeting law and the Constitution, both the United States Constitution and the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights and the Massachusetts Constitution, to know what the hell you're doing in there. We have the right to know everything that goes on in that town hall. I mean, should I do a public records request for every document in the building? No, of course, that's too broad. I'd have to be more specific. But some departments don't even save records. They don't know they're supposed to, which that's a job for the town clerk to fix people's brains in that one. But she doesn't know what she's talking about. That, to know, conservation has a lot of different public hearings and they have all kinds of documents that are spread around to talk about, different, public hearings. Planning has public hearings all the time and there's documents that go along with it. How are these decisions made? Just watching a video isn't going to do it. I want to see what the document is, because you're not going to get the document handed to you through the internet. Hello, send me everything, Lori, and show me this transparency you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. Your concept of transparency is censorship. You don't want people to know any more than what you're talking about at a meeting. And we have the right to know more. We have the right to know 10 times more. And especially since you got on the board, the transparency has been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And you're encouraging that process. You're encouraging it. And you're encouraging it every time you complain about an open meeting law complaint too. That you like, I'm the problem. Your lack of transparency is not the problem. I'm the problem because I'm calling you out on it. This is not, this is how it's supposed to work for somebody to call you out on it. This is exactly how it's supposed to happen. But what's supposed to happen is I shouldn't have anything to complain about. If you follow the laws, I won't have anything to complain about. It's that simple. Just pay attention. Somebody needs to pay attention. And I've told everybody, I've told you before, Board of Selectmen, the staff, listen to me. Go to the open meeting law decisions, the determinations. It's on the AGO's website. And go through, just start, you don't have to read every single one and go back years, but start looking at some of the determinations and start reading what the AG said to people who got a complaint. And you can see what the complaint was about and what the Attorney General said, whether or not it was a complaint and why. And you start looking at those and you understand what you're doing wrong. That's how I learned most of what I have learned about open meeting law complaints. That's why I do them the way I do. I'm wording them with limited speech as I can, without adding a lot of fluff. And I'm focusing on what prior determinations say, as well as what 940 CMR 29 says, and using the correct language. And that has taught me whether or not what I'm looking at online, when I'm looking at a meeting, are they violating the open meeting law or not? And I can look up by keyword within the open meeting law determinations whether my brain is wrong, and then I can say, okay, I'm wrong. It's not bad enough. And I've been wrong. I did one that was not a violation. I'm kind of not too happy, but it's like, oh well, it is what it is. But this has got to stop, you guys. And they're going to fine you one of these times. I don't know when. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the AG to fine the town. I'm not. But if you don't get a handle on the open meeting law, that's coming. This $1 million lawsuit was much bigger than a fine that the AG will give you. I think the Attorney General only fines like a couple $100. It's $1,000 if you keep violating, but you haven't gotten a fine yet. Relax.
The individual residents with that, I know, I am personally inclined to find in favor of what is more transparent for those in town. And by default, making everything private is in and of itself not
So
transparent.
the one thing I would say, just in
Mhm.
contra to that, because I have looked into this, is
Mhm.
most towns do not put them online. They have a request process and they're supplied to the people, no doubt. But I mean,
understand.
and we can submit
Mhm.
Adam's opinion as evidence. It's unusual that all the requests are then published on the town website. I mean, I found like one or
could
two
name
other
about 20
examples.
towns. I could
Yeah.
send you that list. But
I'd be curious to see in what their,
that is the habit of several towns,
Yeah.
if not many.
yeah.
And
It's-
the other
it's-
thing is that
I'm not trying to argue against
no,
transparency.
I
you know that.
understand,
That's-
but
it's
inherently
legal
by
liability more
making
than anything.
everything private is in of itself not transparent. So that's why, again, I would ask the board to consider weighing what are the criteria for what is private versus everything. Because there could be a reasonable criteria implemented that could then be used from a select board policy to make certain a category of requests private as opposed to simply everything.
Do you
And
want to make that suggestion so that we
Sure.
can review that?
yeah, I could submit that for your next meeting.
The point is not to be non-transparent, okay?
I
The
understand and
point
agree.
is not to have any legal ramifications
I agree.
of what could be put out there. So
Mhm.
let me ask you,
The legal ramifications are the censorship. If you're putting public records up online, it's all or nothing, people. There aren't any public records that I can think of that would be legally not put up, that you can hold back and make them private. If somebody makes a public records request for sensitive information that's not a public record, then the public record is denied. Like anything that has somebody's social security number on it, that should be blacked out. That would be redacted. You can't ask, I want a listing of all of an employee's dependents. That's not a public record. If you want some legal opinions from town council they're protected by attorney-client privilege. Although the lawyer bill is public. There's most things, if you start restricting if there's a public record request, the public records request is never going to have sensitive information on it. I mean, I said maybe. My mind is going in 50. There might be some things that I don't know. I think once somebody makes a request, it's become a public document. The response, if the response is sensitive and can't be released to the public, then it's not going to be a response to the public records request. the response to the public records request is going to identify that there are no records that are public in this matter, or words to that effect. So you can't pick and choose which public records request would be private. There's no such thing as something it's a public record and we're going to give it to this person who's asking, but the public can't know about it. That's not transparency, and that would be a violation, I think. Which is why at some point, if this continues to become a restrictive discussion, I will be initiating my 30-day public records request process, and I'll process all of them on video, every single one of them. There'll be long videos. I should do that anyway. Oh my gosh, they drive me crazy.
You didn't till 2/18. Why did you stop?
The public records request slowed down a lot at that point. So, and there was a change in my office of staff at that time, so it fell by the wayside, basically.
It would seem to me that if they got slower and you didn't have as many, that it would be easier to put them up versus when you had a gazillion of them.
Right, but with the change.
You didn't have a portal, you had to be doing it a different way.
We actually uploaded them and put them on. And with
Right.
the change in staff, it made a difference.
Okay.
And the other
But
thing,
public records are they're public records, remember
Of course,
that.
of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
But
Of
so-
course
And
they
anybody
are.
who wants
And
them
anybody
can
who
come
wants
in and
them
get
can get
them. Why do you have to have them published?
so the other
To
thing
save
I'll,
time in the office.
the other thing I'll add is I routinely get calls asking for the public records to go back the way they were in 2017 and 2018. I've received numerous calls in the months since I've taken office.
People must have
from our
nothing else to
constituents.
do. Would they sit
I-
home and do this?
I can't speak to that, but I can tell you that my constituents and your constituents are routinely asking for this. So with that in mind, the particular matter before the board today, as it relates to this portal, whether the information is public or private, the request before you is the use of the subdomain RAO.
Yeah, I'm gonna end watching this video here, I think. If you watched the 5.5 hour marathon meeting the other day, we don't need to watch anymore. But this is basically, this is my transparency rant, and to show, a few of the things that we're dealing with in this fight for more transparency. And I think the select board, however they want to see it, they'll see themselves as a victim 100% of the time, which is what started this whole rant on their end. But once the door is open on public records, and once you have a little crack in the door and it's open, the public's going to demand that the door's open all the way. And that's where we're at with this, the public records being on the website. And I don't think the town can, they're not going to, policies can be policies, but you've made it, which I commend Harrison. Harrison put them back online to restart what Kathy had been doing before she stopped doing it several years ago. It was helpful, but it was embarrassing too, because people were filing people were filing public records requests back when years ago, back in 2015 to 2018, and to see, you saw them online, it's like, okay, the whole town knows I asked for this. And the documents weren't so embarrassing, but it was the request. People were kind of like, oh, shoot, I'm going to give her this request and everybody's going to know I asked for it. So that was kind of, okay, you had to swallow your own pride to do a public records request. And we're back to that again, which is fine. I think people that are making requests know that. People from out, there are people, insurance agents and real estate people and lawyers and all kinds of people are asking for different records. and political people that do a lot of data, they've been asking for public records, and those are routine. I know those are routine requests that come through, and knowing you don't know something's important until somebody else asks for it. And those are very educational for the public to understand what goes on in the world. And it opens a lot of doors and eyes and understanding, and particularly understanding transparency in government operations. It's like, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. Oh, you mean you can get a fire record, like fire investigation reports? Whenever there's a building fire, there's a fire investigation report. In fact, that's a report I'm probably going to ask for. I think it might have been time. Let's see, how long has it been? I got to check to see how long ago the fire on Main Street was. I can't remember what day that was, but that would be an interesting fire investigation report. Somebody's going to be asking for that. There will be an insurance agent asking for that. And there will be a formal investigation into that fire. Anyway, just there always is. Not because of anything unique about it, but there always, so there'll be a report on that. And these are things that, I didn't even, wow, that's interesting. Wow, I'm glad they posted that. But once, Harrison opened the door again, and he's fighting to keep the transparency alive, which is good for all of us. And once the public gets a taste of transparency, they don't want to give it up. And this is now the second time in a decade that we've had this opportunity to see some of this stuff. And especially with everybody's so used to being online. People, it's kind of cool. And we've had a shrinking of what's on the website. So there's an increase in public records requests. People are requesting things that should be on the website. And they used to be on the website. 10 years ago, there was much more on the website. I said that already in this video. And so the public records requests are going through the roof. Get the stuff back on the website, and we won't have to. There are some things that are on the website, like you can get all the building permits. You can look at every building permit that's filed and whether or not they were approved. The whole building permit process is online under the building department, in case you didn't know that. It's very informative, kind of cool. It's another thing that's cool. You get to see who's asking to do their kitchen over, and who's putting a deck on, and who's I don't know, whatever. And you get to see who they're hiring. I was looking for a contractor, and I'm like, let me go through the building permits and let me see who's doing work in town. It was less than exciting. I really didn't settle in on a contractor from my search. I decided I need to do something else. This is not helpful. I'll tell you. But it's those are things that are on the website. Now that I've said this, select board is going to try to get that off there, but that's the way that they do it now, because it's more efficient. Just like the town clerk's office is trying to do things more efficiently, and everything is a public record. That's why the building department has it on there. It's a public record. Public building permits are a public record, and this certainly saves time. If I want to see if somebody's got a building permit, I don't have to do a public records request and then it to the town clerk, who gives it to Janet, and Janet has to respond. No, it's online. Nobody even, I think part of it too is the select board wants to know who's making these requests, and they don't want other people to know. But we got a lot of anonymous people making public records requests now. And that's really pissing the board of selectmen off. It really is. And too bad. Tough shit. This public has more privacy than government. So, but once the door is open, it's going to be politically difficult, if not impossible, for the Board of Selectmen to put the genie back in the bottle, that we want the public records to be available. And like I keep saying, I'm going to do those monthly requests so that I'll have the public records, all of them. Nothing can be withheld because a public record is a public record. Public records request is a public record. And I'll publish all of them. I'll either get a blog going. I have a blog. I haven't been active on it. I can put them all on the blog. I don't think I have a memory limit. I might. I don't know. more things to spend my money on. Or I'll just do videos and we'll just go through public records request. How about that? That could be fun. That could be fun. I will never run out of topics if I do that. But, and that's an example of not just me being a jerk. I know the Board of Selectmen will sit there, she's being an asshole. No, this is what transparency is, and this is how transparency works. And I'm just horrified at how they view transparency. I was really hoping that over the last year, they're coming up on a year that Veronica and Laura Schifrin were both elected in November of last year to fill vacancies. And I was hoping that in these months that they would have, it's been 11 months that they've been on the board, that they would have improved on their transparency. And they haven't. It's getting worse. And it's really been a nightmare to serve, to deal with this board on many issues. But I've done many open meeting law complaints, many of which have come back as a determination. And okay. No, the truth is my crown. Remember that? Come on. So get the lyrics right. So transparency is my mission. That my mission. You gotta have a mission. And that's transparency is my mission. So doing I lost my, now you made me distracted me. I should never have looked at the chat. So yeah, oh, but over the months that I was doing open meeting law complaints, you would think with each one they would make corrections and they would look at the open meeting law and look at 940 CMR 29, which is the guidelines on how to follow the open meeting law. For a while there, I couldn't even get them to respond properly. They wouldn't, the instructions that are with the open meeting law complaint tell you what you have to do. I had to put a marker around, make a box around their requirements and highlight it and say, you got to do this. And it was just getting too close. Yeah, okay. But it was like, I can't believe I have to hold their hand through this process. And I don't know. They weren't even responding at all for a while. They just, okay, I would get an email sometimes from Lori, received. Oh, that reminds me. I didn't pull up the email. Oh, okay. We got to backtrack now because I want to bring that up. I forgot what I called it. Oh, there it is. I want to show you what she said to me when I sent the open meeting law complaints in. I know I should have covered this earlier. I'm sorry. So those of you that are still hanging in there, oh no. How did this get, can I rotate this maybe? Yes, I can. There we are. Okay. Oh, let me try this again. Share screen. Window. There it is. This is the response that I got regarding the September 25th open meeting law complaint. And she wrote she read this complaint second, and she's responding kind of to both of them. I'm noticing this one today. It's dated 9/25/25. It's not dated then. It's dated 10/22, but it's regarding the meeting on 9/25. Thank you for pointing out the errors being made. I don't know that this process has ever been different. To my knowledge, there has been no intent but to hold up approval of licenses which are commonly not issued with proper paperwork and payment. That's bonkers. So she's admitting that the Board of Selectmen routinely issues licenses without proper paperwork or payment. This is what they do routinely They just issue, you apply for a license, if you don't make your payment and you're not eligible for the license, you don't meet the regulatory criteria, which is partially in state law, they'll give you the license anyway. They'll give you the license without that stuff. That is what she admitted to in this email to me. I forgot. I'm sorry. I didn't bring this up because I had all these things I needed to bring up. And this is recall. You can't recall for this. She has to be convicted. This is like, cut it out. I should, how many people are in here? All right. But this is Lori Schifrin, the chair of the Board of Selectmen, admitting to me and the public now. I want to show you this in total living color. If I can, I'm going to make it a little bigger if I can. I don't know how big it can get on my screen. Let's see. Can you see it better? I'm on a different screen than you guys, so I can't tell if you can see this as well as I can. But this is her email to me on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, that the common vic licenses and all the other licenses, the class 1, 2, 3, to my knowledge, there has been no intent, but not hold up approval of licenses, which are commonly not issued with proper paperwork and payment. What? They don't hold up the approval. They are commonly not issued with proper paperwork and payment. This doesn't make a lick of sense. What is this? They're not issued with proper paperwork. I'm losing my mind. So she's not just violating the open meeting law and the public records law and every concept of transparency. They're just willy-nilly, they just put this on the agenda so they can just issue licenses to whoever they want without any legal justification, and maybe even in violation of law. I'm definitely going to I'm going to wait, and I'm going to give I'm going to give them an opportunity to fix this on the open meeting law side of the house. Like, if November 5th does not produce, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to let November 5th come up, I think. Yeah, because that's just like a week, 2 weeks away. After November 5th meeting, or after the agenda is posted, and then I'm going to do a public records request for all the licenses, a copy of them all, and the applications for all of them, and whether or not they've been approved yet, all the pending applications, and all licenses that have been issued, including the application packet. So I want to know, did they issue any licenses where the proper paperwork has not been filed? I want to know. I mean, hello. So that's why they do it, to save time, to be more efficient. We're just going to issue everybody licenses. The alcohol licenses, you don't need to be qualified to get a liquor license. We'll give it to anybody. And I should apply for, what else can I get without proper permits? You'll just hand them out without payment, no wonder we have a financial problem. They're doing things with whether or not they've been paid for or not. I don't understand. So, yeah, I'm glad I finally remembered to pull that up to show you guys, because this is why they don't want transparency. This is why, because they want to do things what's easier for them, so they don't have to tell anybody what's going on. They can just do things what's in the best interest of the town. That's not what's in the best interest of the town. And I'm the problem, because I'm bringing attention to this. And I'm going to continue to be a problem. I'm going to become a bigger problem. How about that? Because I get more and more motivated to do this stuff. The motivation is getting stronger and stronger. Yep. And all right. I don't know that I have anything else on the transparency issue tonight. I wanted to talk about more stuff, I thought, but maybe not. I'll have another video soon on something else. There's always something going on here. Maybe, let's see, this is Sunday. Maybe sometime this week, somebody will file something in court on the lawsuit. I kind of doubt it. I know that the select board has another meeting on Tuesday where there's only one thing on the agenda, and that's the litigation, the $1 million lawsuit. They'll be in executive session for that. So after that is when I would expect the filing will be made in the court by the town on what their response is. And I'll be checking the court site. And once I have that, we'll have a video to show it. So yeah. And I think I have a very special video I'm going to be doing on Monday. I'm just going to give you just a little heads up to watch on Monday. I could have 2 videos on Monday. That's tomorrow, huh? Yes, I have a special guest. Yes, special guest. And you know, I don't usually do guests, but I have one. We're going to be, I think, unless something happens, we're going to be talking about transparency and how things, what the last year has been like in Townsend and what has changed in the universe. It's going to be disappointing, but it's going to be interesting. So I expect it to go mini viral. I say mini viral. So that's all I'm going to say. And that's partially because of my guest. And if I don't need too many edits, I'll get it out quickly. But we shall see. Just to give you a heads up. If you know, you know. If you don't, you'll just have to wait and find out. It will be, I'll do it as a premiere. It will not be live as we're meeting. Me and my special guest will be doing all kinds of conversations, and I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. So don't try to ask me because you'll just have to wait. Some of you might guess, but yes, I think my special guest is either could be watching. I don't know. I don't know who the 4 people are that are in here. Nobody's commented lately except Grapefruit Pluto. So anyway, that's going to be all I have for tonight. And I will get this video finished with its posting process. And we will have more information on everything as the week progresses. And if TCAM ever posts the rest of the meetings, that would be, is it the state auditor? No. They're not a public official. The special guest is not a public official. They are a public person, but not a public official. I'm not going to give any more hints. No more hints. And they don't live in Townsend. That's a hint, by the way. But I won't be. And you're actually Grapefruit. You're actually kind of a play on words. you might be able to guess no. But anyway. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, we'll have more. If TCAM ever puts up the other meetings that had happened last week, like the water, I want the water commissioners meeting. I heard that's worth watching. And Planning and COSCOM, Conservation Commission, had a meeting this week too, and I want to See what happened there? Because they had planning and Conscom had Zoom issues. So I wasn't able to watch their meetings. I'm not going to comment on that. But you're close. I think you know who it is. You know who's coming to town. All right. I got to go now. We're doing a redo. We're doing a redo. Okay. Yes, we are. We're doing a redo. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta go before I say too much. Okay. Have a good evening, everybody. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please share this video with your friends and everybody, even people that don't want to hear it. Send it to them. Maybe they'll watch it. It really helps the channel. All right. Have a good one. Let me find the end stream button. Okay. Take care.